Welcome back. We've made it. We have spent, out of the past 8 weeks, all but 5 days away from this property, so it feels so nice to finally be back home. That key, that looks like it's from my 1989 Vauxhall Nova. I haven't seen a key that looks that basic for maybe a decade on a new vehicle. That is the key for what some believe is the king of retro bikes. I asked the question this morning about 3 hours ago. What is the ultimate modern retro? What's the king of the retros? I was slightly disappointed that only 3 people thought that the bike that uses this key was the king of the retros. Other bikes include the Triumph Bonneville T100, T120, BMW R9T, Moto Guzzi, Triumph T120, even the Royal Enfield Interceptor and Classic 350. It was the Bonneville T120 that got the most votes, but this bike that I'm about to show you, I know it's on the thumbnail, but I've got to build it up. This is a bike that through the 30s, 40s and 50s was very close to untouchable. Between 1930 and 1937, this bike won something like 87 out of 92 Grand Prix in that period. It was almost untouchable. Many bad things happened in between, and I'll get to that later. But let's go down and show you where this goes. I can smell the fumes. Immediately, this bike is taking me back to the 1950s or so, but it's a brand new bike. British made, legit, the real deal. 961cc. 17,000 pounds and 77 horsepower, British made horsepower. Norton market this as raw strip back, made with the most exquisite materials known to man. Forget about any kind of rider aids, anything like that to spoil the riding purity. This bike is all about the finest materials that a bike can be made with none of this modern stuff. It's a proper hark back to those glory years when Nortons really ruled the roads. It's one of the most famous names in motorcycling, and just have a look at the profile. Art, pure art. It hasn't changed really visually much at all since its glory years. It's got a very different look and feel to the likes of the Triumph Bonnevilles. It's very hard to explain, but it looks rawer, it feels rawer. The gaps in between here, nothing's filled up, nothing's bulked up. It feels like a genuinely old bike. It feels special. There's an aura to this bike that I'll try and explain when I get to my review video later, but definitely it has that sporting element with, oh, it feels beautiful, with the tank that just comes in there, so you can, I mean, this is weird, so you can put your legs here. I want to put my foot here, where the brake pedal is. This is where I want to put my foot, and I keep doing that, but it's not, it's here. Look how far back my foot is here. I want to put it here, I have to put it here. That's,
it looks very uncomfortable.
Yes, that is definitely more on the sporty side. I mean, that's a little bit unnatural for me, being used to the more chilled out rides like that. That will definitely take some getting used to. It's got the slightly risen bars. It doesn't have those clip-ons, which would be complete agony. So that is not bad, but I can already tell it won't be the most comfortable bike on earth. Let's take a quick look at the quality. It's premium. There's no getting away from it. That price point is right up there. So if we start from the front, that's carbon fiber. That is a carbon fiber front mudguard. The quality everywhere, just on the side of the engine here, this beautiful, what is it? Polished aluminium or chrome, I don't know, but it looks absolutely stunning. And the same there with the top of the engine. The styling of the tank here, the writing, Norton, it's all beautiful. But there is definitely that old 1960s Britishness just garnished around every so often. The kind of thing that you wouldn't get from Triumph and Harley Davidson, where they're so mass produced, everything is perfect. There are no little quirks about those bikes. This is not a mass produced bike, and that means there are quirks. £17,000. Take a look at this. That is the cheapest looking, most out of place indicator I've seen since I tried to modify my Suzuki Bandit. And take a look at this here, the mounting point on the left hand side. That, on a 1-year-old bike, has already discoloured quite badly. Come round to the cockpit and it's beautiful, but if you flip round and have a look and see what I see. Everything looks lovely. You've got this flip up fuel cap, beautiful chrome mirrors, Norton logo there, and beautiful chrome surrounding the clocks. So you've got the rev counter there. Sorry, my quad lock's in the way a bit. Rev counter there and the speedo on this side. Then you've got the little key slot here, but have a look at this, the way it's not quite centered. I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but there's a much bigger gap on the top bit of the key socket than on the bottom bit of the key socket. A few little immediate obvious quirks to let you know it's no mass-produced bike. And then I have to show this one more time. For a £17,000 bike, these indicators are so far from acceptable, I can't even put them into the same sentence as the word acceptable. I mean, I wouldn't even put those, as I said, on my 22-year-old Suzuki Bandit. They're that bad. They are that bad. Öhlins shocks, beautiful exhaust. I mean, this is an exhaust on either side of the bike. This doesn't have a pillion seat, but of course you can have one. Again, you've got some of the aluminium slightly discoloring there on a 1-year-old bike. But then you get the juxtaposition of that with a carbon fiber mudguard. Look, overall, I really, really like it. It does. It has something special about it. I will try and explain that later, I promise. The seat's lovely, stitched in Norton, yada, yada, yada. Right, I will fire it up, let you hear what it sounds like. It's music. And then I'll go upstairs, get ready, go for a ride, and then I'll come back, grab a coffee, and just give you a little update on the history of Norton. You ready? I don't know how this passed the noise regulation checks because it's right on the limit. It's stunning. I have got genuine whiffs of petrol just being fired out of the back, and I don't know if you could have picked it up. Those exhausts are so close to the limit of probably the noise regulation limits. I think Norton must have had to pay someone off. It's got a real rawness to it, that sound, the likes of which you just don't ever get in mass-produced bikes. Oh, it's got its flaws, but it's very special. Okay, first little ride done, but I want to show you 3 things on the bike. Before I do, Monica, you're not mic'd up, are you? Can you just say to me what you said when you first saw the bike?
Wow.
No, you didn't just say wow, Monica. You said that is the most beautiful looking bike I've ever seen in my life. I had to quickly, I don't even know if you said one off. You were flabbergasted. I had to go upstairs to the flat, and Monica stayed downstairs for 30 minutes straight, photographing it in amazement. She then showed her mum, who has, I promise you, 0 interest in bikes, and her mum said, "What the hell is that?" And for non-biking people to be blown away by the beauty of a bike like that is very, very rare. And I have to agree, I mean, Monica and I were looking at it, just parked up in the underground parking, and now looking at it here, I think I agree with both of you. I think it's the most, I'm not going to say beautiful looking bike I've ever seen, I'm going to say devilishly handsome, because it's too masculine a bike to be called beautiful. Monica, I have to show you 3 things, and I need you for this, so follow me. So this was after a 10-minute ride. First thing, the seat is quite like sitting on a rock. There's no padding at all. Coupled with the fact when you sit like that, it accentuates that pain from the seat. The next point is this. If you come around to the side here and just have a look at this, the indent in the tank, this is so beautifully sculpted, and it's so you can tuck your knees behind it. It's a really sporty look. I'm not that tall. Look at my leg, here. My leg doesn't fit behind the tank. So you've got all this beautiful curve there where you put your leg, but my leg doesn't fit behind it. So my leg ends up getting squeezed and pushed onto this point of the tank, completely eliminating the point of having this indent of the tank, because I would have to sit back like this to get my leg behind it. But I can't be sitting like this for every ride I do. The reality is this is my seating position and it doesn't work. The third point, and bear in mind it's only on my first ride, is that the turning circle is, and I really mean this, the worst I've ever experienced on any bike. If I were to try and 3-point turn this bike, for example, I mean, I'm not even going to try. There are people watching. It's actually embarrassing, but it is so appalling. I almost dropped the bike when I was doing a turn because it stops so quickly. Apart from that, the positives, it's the feeling. It's the rumble from the exhaust, the sound from the engine, every clunk up and down the gears that you do, looking at that exquisitely simple dash, just with the Norton wording there, the beautiful lines on the tank, seeing this polished aluminium here on the engine, and then looking down on those beautiful exhausts. Feeling wise, it's amazing. I'm going to be interested how I feel after 2 weeks with this, because it's not quite as polished as you get from the mass-produced stuff, but special feeling wise, certainly very good, although it's quirky, definitely. I'll give you a bit of a history on Norton, because like almost all British motoring companies, doesn't matter if it's cars or bikes, all of them have had the exact same issues. Norton is no exception. In fact, its issues have been just as bad almost as anyone else. Started in 1898, first bike came out in 1902. They ruled the roads from a performance point of view around about the 1930s to 1950s. This, the Commando, came out 1967 and lasted until 77. Around about 55,000 were built. However, by the time this went out of production, that was the end, really, of Norton as we know it as a world-beating bike. There were many acquisitions, Norton Villiers, etc., being bought out, being sold, desperately trying to survive. And all this went on through the 80s, all the way through until about 2008. They even had a 15-year period before 2008 where an American company owned Norton, and Nortons were made in the USA. 2008 comes along, and Stuart Garner, the Stuart Garner, who is infamous here in the UK for the pension scam, where he bought the company in 2008 and then he ended up ripping all of the employees off, taking all their pension money and investing it into places that he fancied investing it. I think he's since gone to jail, but here's where the story turns to a positive note. 2021, Indian company TVS came along, they bought Norton. Not only did they buy it, in 2020, in 2021, they finished building a brand new state-of-the-art factory where all Norton motorcycles were to be built. So this is the first time, probably in 50 years of Norton's history, where there's a real genuine feeling, a real sense that possibly this once world-beating brand could come back in a large-scale way. It's got the foundations now that it hasn't had in such a long time. Could it end up being a genuine player on the world scene? I think the future for Norton now is more positive than it's ever been because they've got the backing of TVS. I mean, this is a gigantic company, and I think the future of Norton is looking very, very rosy. Right, we'll wrap it up there. I've got no trips planned, but I am definitely going to be doing some trips. I don't know if I should go and buy a small pillow to put in my backpack, just to take it, in case I need it for those longer trips, but I'm speechless with excitement. I mean, just look at it. Right, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much everyone for watching. Please do give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next one.